Hey everyone, I'm Asha. Welcome to another edition of the Girl Talk HQ Weekly Wrap-Up. Today's video, called Hobby Lobby, Lucy Flores and Mommy Bloggers, is all about identity, and there's elements of each of these three topics that are closely related to people's identities on a larger scale. How do we as a society define our identity, especially when really controversial topics and news stories like the Hobby Lobby case are talked about a lot and people relate it to themselves personally. So the first story that I wanted to talk about was obviously the Hobby Lobby case. It's closely tied in with religious views, reproductive rights, women's rights, and healthcare. Now these are really, really big topics, especially here in America. Now if you aren't familiar with the Hobby Lobby case, basically it's a craft store owned by a Christian family, the Green family, and they went to the Supreme Court and basically asked for religious freedom in providing healthcare that covered certain contraceptives like IUDs and Plan B, basically the morning after pill, certain types of contraceptives. Now they do cover 16 out of the 20 contraceptives that are available, so that's great. They also apparently pay nearly double the minimum wage to their employees, so that's also another thumbs up to Hobby Lobby. If you want to know my personal opinions and thoughts on it, you can click on the link below because I share a whole range of different views. I thought it was kind of offensive for a for-profit business, albeit a small family-owned business who are billionaires, let me just say, for them to kind of use the religious freedoms that are in the Constitution, which are meant for individuals, and they're using that as a business. And I don't agree with that. As a company, whether you're owned by Christians or Muslims or atheists or whatever, that shouldn't matter, because what you do in your personal life is your choice. Now, if you're a business and you're paying someone wages and you're paying for someone's healthcare, it's actually none of your business what happens with that healthcare and the wages once it leaves your payroll. But when it comes to choosing not to cover certain contraceptives for their female employees because they, the owners, they personally don't believe in abortion, they are pro-life, not pro-choice, and they have very strict religious views, that's great for them. But when it comes to a business entity or a corporation is not a person. I don't believe you can attach the same constitutional rights. Now, of course, these are my opinions shared by many others around the country. The majority of Supreme Court judges ruled in favor of Hobby Lobby, so now they don't have to cover those certain types of contraceptives. For me as a woman, I can identify with certain things relating to the religious views because I was brought up Christian, I was raised in the church. Also, I'm a woman and reproductive rights are important to me. But I understand that women, business owners, religious people, they're all getting involved and they all want to have their say, because it's not just something out there that's happening. It's something that could personally affect us and our identity, especially if you're a Hobby Lobby employee. The second story I wanted to bring up was the news story that's been going viral this week about Nevada Lieutenant Governor candidate Lucy Flores. This woman, I believe, is amazing. She's only 34 or 35. She's Latina. She comes from a really, really rough background. And the main thing that people have been talking about her is that she admitted that she had an abortion. There's so many things about Lucy Flores that people can identify with because she's Latina, which already is a huge population of certain states in America. She's a young woman. She comes from a rough background. She's one of 13 kids raised by a single father because her mother left when she was in middle school, I believe, just didn't want to look after the children. She fell into gangs. She's been in jail. So she comes from a poor socioeconomic background. I mean, there's so many people in America that can identify with that. There's so many people around the world that can identify with someone coming from a background where every day is a struggle. Now, she is fighting for the rights of women and lower income families in Nevada, and she's a candidate for lieutenant governor of her state. That is amazing in itself. But for many people out there, they can identify with Lucy's story. Now, in terms of her abortion, here's why she said she had one and why she wasn't afraid to admit that she had an abortion. She was 16 when she got pregnant. All of her friends around her and some of her relatives and her sisters were getting pregnant, and they just weren't able to deal with it financially and emotionally. They're teenagers. So she made the decision to have an abortion at 16, And she openly says now in forums and at speaking engagements, she doesn't regret having an abortion because she wouldn't be where she is today. The reason why she wants to speak up about it is because she hopes her story can help other young women be prevented from getting into the same situation where they have an unwanted pregnancy. So she's not necessarily advocating abortions, she's just not apologizing for her decisions. People are really drawn to her story because there's something about Lucy's identity that they recognize in their own. And I think that's really, really powerful. The more you talk about your own stories and experiences and share them, it can be really powerful and encouraging and a comfort to other people who are going through the same thing. So good on Lucy for speaking about that. So with Lucy Flores, the key identifiers were being Latina in politics in America, being a young woman admitting to having an abortion, and coming from a poor socioeconomic and rough background. Those are some key identifiers that a lot of people around the world, and especially in America, can identify with. And it's really important that someone like this is in public office, standing up, representing young women, young people everywhere, saying, hey, guess what? I'm you, you're just like me. If you want to hear more about her story, click on the link below. There's a video and there's tons of awesome information about this amazing Latina woman. The final topic I want to talk about are mommy bloggers. Now, it's not necessarily a huge news item yet, but if you follow any mommy blogs on Instagram or online, you will know that there's been a few rumblings of some controversies, namely because a lot of these blogs have been getting their Instagram accounts shut down due to photos of their naked children just wearing diapers and photos of mothers breastfeeding. Now, Instagram does state in their terms of service that they're not against photos of mothers breastfeeding and they will not take them down. A lot of mommy bloggers that I've been following on Instagram have been having their accounts shut down because of a couple of different things. The breastfeeding photos that people are reporting and the naked photos of their kids. A lot of these mommy bloggers are now banding together to try and fight the Instagram censorship laws. I'm not sure how far they will get because Instagram is a privately owned business. And basically, if you don't like their terms of service, they don't mind if you go somewhere else. These bloggers aren't just fighting for their rights to upload photos of their kids and of them breastfeeding. They're fighting because they feel the normal things that they're doing in their life, the key identifiers for them, i.e. their children, and things like breastfeeding, are being censored. Now, the whole Free the Nipple movement is all about breaking down barriers and telling the media and organizations, hey, stop sexualizing things like breastfeeding and mastectomies and nipples when they're a normal part of a woman's body. And breastfeeding is not a sexual thing, it's a normal motherly function. I'm not a mom, I don't know what I'm talking about, so I wanted to find out from a mommy blogger, why is it so important that they fight these censorship laws? Because there's arguments out there, hey, listen, you're putting pictures of your naked child on the internet on a free public forum for the world to see, and they're going to stay online forever and ever. What's to say pedophiles can't take those photos? Which is a very, very valid argument. So I wanted to get a mommy blogger's point of view, and I chatted to a woman called Alexis, who has a really beautiful blog. You can check out the link below, and she basically talks about why, for mothers, their identity is tied in with these photos and with the messages that they're putting across. For instance, the breastfeeding photos are really important because they feel the more that they show themselves breastfeeding and that it's a normal thing and that it's a beautiful thing, it could encourage other young moms to breastfeed also and break down stigma. And once again, these key identifiers are very controversial. You're talking about child pornography, you're talking about your own children, you're talking about breastfeeding, something that's personal to a mother's body. Those are the three topics I wanted to talk about. I'm sure you guys out there have an opinion. Please leave your comments below. Let me know what you think of Hobby Lobby, of Lucy Flores, and this whole mommy blogging phenomenon that's going on where these accounts are being shut down by Instagram because of certain photos. I fully believe in the power of a conversation, and I think that's a great thing about social media, about YouTube, about Facebook, about Instagram, about blogging, is we can share our opinions. We may not always agree, but I definitely think conversations are a great thing to have because the more we speak up, the more we can possibly influence change in the world. Be sure to check out my blog, girltalkhq.com, and also don't forget to subscribe to this channel, Girl Talk HQ, because I love bringing videos talking about topics that I'm passionate about. Subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next time.